Hi, Vanessa here. In this video, we are going to make this slouch beanie here. Okay, it's worked with mostly slip stitches. This portion here is a yarn over slip stitch ribbing, and then this is just your slip stitch ribbing, and everything is worked through the back loops. It's made in one piece and seamed together with an almost, well, I would say it's seamless. These seam, I can I have trouble finding it. So the seam is right here. So it's this part right here, and you can't even tell that there's a seam there. I have a little sample here that I made. This is just a sample that I will be making for this tutorial. The description for the pattern that will appear at the bottom of the video is going to be the instructions for this beanie. Okay, so I will provide instructions on how to adjust your brim and the height and measuring for the circumference. So I used Loops and Threads Facet stones. So they discontinued the original one, and I was terribly sad. But after Christmas, I went to Michael's because they had a yarn sale, and also because I received a gift card for Christmas. So I spotted these, and I had to buy a few of them because they are just very soft and the colors are amazing. This is the one I used for the beanie. It is quartz. The color is quartz. Okay, if you were curious, this one is lapis. Okay, so what you'll need is your yarn. So I'm just going to make a little tiny sample, and you'll need a crochet hook. This one recommended an 8mm, but I used 6.5 because I felt like the yarn was thinner and would be too much of a loose stitch if I used an 8mm. So I decided to use 6.5. You can play with whatever you want. So whatever yarn you use, just make sure you use the appropriate hook size according to the label or whatever you think is best. Okay, so I'm just going to make a small sample and explain to you how to adjust the sizes. You'll need a crochet hook. Again, I'm using a 6.5. You can't really see it. This one's been used a lot. This is Knitter's Pride's Dreams. And you'll need a tape measure just so you can measure what you want. A pair of scissors, tapestry needle, and you can grab a couple of stitch markers if you'd like to mark the brim here. Okay, the brim here, and then up here I also, there's 3 stitches that I do something different. Okay, before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see all of the new videos that I post. Okay, so let's get started. We're working in one piece, and we're basically working in this direction, back and forth. Okay, so you want to start with a slip knot. Okay, so you're going to chain as many chain stitches for the height of your beanie. Okay, so again, I'm just making a sample. So I'm going to make a small one. Okay, I think this is good. So that's the height of your whole beanie from here to here. And what I did when I started my chain stitches is I just measured it, and it was about 12.5 inches, which is what I like for my slouch. So this is the flat side. We're going to turn it around and work into the humps of the chain stitches. So in the second chain from the hook, that's 1 right there, and that's 2. work one slip stitch, and then I did 3 for the top. You can, it doesn't really matter because this is the part that you're going to scrunch up anyway, so I wanted it smaller, so I did 3. You can do 1 or 2, it's really up to you. If you want to follow along, just work 3 slip stitches. Because my sample is going to be small, I'm just going to work 1. After your original slip stitches for the top, I did 1. You can do, I don't recommend working more than 3. So I did 1 here for this little sample. I did 3 here, and I had 7 stitches for my ribbing down here for the band. So it's up to you how wide or how small you want your ribbing. I'm going to just leave 3. So you're going to work a yarn over slip stitch, leaving as many stitches as you'd like for your brim. And that's what the main portion of the beanie is worked in. To work a yarn over slip stitch, it's exactly as it sounds. You're going to yarn over and then insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you want to pull through the 2 loops on your hook. So make sure you work these stitches loosely, otherwise it'll be difficult to work into in the following rows. Okay, so next one, again, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you want to pull through the 2 loops on your hook. Okay, yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull it through the 2 loops on your hook. Okay, so you're going to work a yarn over slip stitch until leaving as many stitches as you want for your brim. So again, this little sample that I'm working is going to have 3 stitches for my brim. Again, just trying to work these stitches, the yarn over slip stitch and the slip stitches, as loose as you can. Okay, so I have 3 stitches left, so I don't want to work yarn over slip stitches anymore. I'm just going to work 3 slip stitches in the last 3 stitches. So in each of the last 3 stitches, work a slip stitch. And like I said, you can use stitch markers to mark your brim and the top if you like. Okay, so this is my 3rd stitch here. And then however many stitches you have on the top, you can mark that as well. For the rest of the beanie, you're going to work into the back loops only. So chain 1 and turn, and you'll do that after every row, and that does not count as a stitch. So right here was the chain stitch, right here is the next one, and you're just going to work into the back loops. Okay, so if you're looking at this stitch, that's the back loop, this is the front loop. So this is the front right here, and I insert my hook into the back loop. Okay, again, I'm just going to work slip stitches for the first 3 stitches. That's the amount I decided for my brim. You may have more stitches if you're making a larger hat. Okay, so now, So now I'm going to work my yarn over slip stitches until the last one, where I'm just working 1 slip stitch. Okay, and again, we're just working in the back loops. Yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through the 2 loops on your hook. Okay, yarn over into the back loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, and I noticed that I tug on the 2nd loop here in order to pull my slip stitch through. Okay, next stitch, yarn over into the back loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through the 2 on your hook. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that until I reach the last stitch. Again, you may have anywhere from 1 through 3 stitches left. So for the top of your beanie, in this sample I decided to make just one stitch, use just one stitch for my top. So that's the last stitch right there into the back loops and work my slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn. So that was the first row of the repeat. Now I'm going to work 1 slip stitch in the first stitch. Okay, again there's 1 stitch here, 3 on this side that I worked just slip stitches. Yarn over and work your yarn over slip stitch all the way until you reach the brim part. In my case, I have 3 stitches on the other end for my brim. Okay, so I have 3 stitches left. I'm just going to work 1 slip stitch in the last 3 stitches. Remember to work your stitches loosely. Okay, so that is the second row that you're going to repeat. Okay, chain 1 and turn, and then just repeat those 2 rows until you have the circumference that you need. So just remember your brim side, your top side. I have 3 stitches here and 1 up here where I work just slip stitches, and then in between the slip stitches I work a yarn over slip stitch, and then you repeat that back and forth until you have the circumference size that you need. Don't forget to chain 1 and turn each time, and the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Just make sure that you stop on the same side as your beginning tail, so which means you will have an odd number of rows. Okay, so I ended on the same side as the beginning tail. So this side here, the 3 stitches I use for the sample would be the brim, which is 7 stitches here, and then there's 1 stitch here that I just worked slip stitches, and that's for the top. Let's turn it around. So before you seam, measure it and see if it's the circumference size that you like. So now you want to slip stitch or seam the edges together, and you want to take your beginning end, so this part here, and fold it forward so that it's on your side. Okay, so you're going to work slip stitches through both sides. For the stitches here that you have slip stitches, you're going to continue the yarn over slip stitches for the seaming in the middle portion, and then however many you have for the top. So right through this side, and then on the last row that you just finished, you're going to go through the back loops. Okay, so here's the back loop. Okay, and then work a slip stitch. So this is my brim side, so I'm going to work 3 slip stitches. So here's the second one, and then here's the second stitch right here. Right here, I'm going to just go through the back loop. Okay, I have 1 more for the brim. Remember, you may have more. The pattern is for 7 stitches for the brim. So here's the last row. You want to work through the back loop. Okay, so now for the main portion of the beanie, we're going to continue with the yarn over slip stitch. So yarn over into the next stitch and then through the back loops of this side. Okay, and pull up a loop, and then just like before, pull through the 2 on your hook. Yarn over into the next stitch, into the back loop of the other side, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through the 2. Okay, we're going to continue until you get to the other side. And I have 1 slip stitch on that side, but however many you have, you're going to stop working the yarn over slip stitches and then just work slip stitches like you did on the brim side. Okay, for the last stitch, I'm just going to work a normal slip stitch through the front end and through the back loop. The last one is always hard to see. The back loop on the other side. So this is the brim, and you probably want to measure that first before you seam it. Just measure the brim when it's flat to see how wide it is for you. So this will be, if you're measuring it flat, it'll be the circumference. So just to show you, this one here is about 3 inches. So the circumference is 6 inches. So this one was about, before I seamed it, it was about 22.5 inches. Okay. So now we're at the top of the beanie. So this down here is the ribbing for the brim. I don't recommend using this yarn to close up the top because it does break easily since it's so soft. Cut a long enough tail so that you can go around the hole on top of your beanie. So this is why we also work slip stitches on the top so that it's smaller and it won't close all the way if you have a large beanie. Okay, so we're just going to use the tail to close it up. So grab your, or you can use your hook to yarn over and pull through and tighten. Okay, so on each, this is the top of your beanie. On each of these rows, you're just going to weave your needle through the rows, the end of the rows. Okay, so I'm right here. I'm just going to weave my needle through. Okay, this is the last row here. And then just pull to tighten. Okay, so this is small, that's why it's closed. However, if you're making a larger one like I did, the hole won't close up. And again, if you're using this yarn, do not use it to close up because it'll break when you try to tighten. So now, because you'll have a hole here, actually let me leave a hole so I could show you. Okay, you're going to want to just sort of weave across this side and then weave across this side, so it's sort of like a T or an X. Okay, and then just continue doing that until you close up the hole on top. Okay, and just secure it. I like to stick my needle through, wrap my yarn twice, hold it at the base and pull it through. Okay. And I'm going to weave in my beginning tail. Turn it the right side out, and you have your beanie. Isn't that cute? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos. See you next time.